So one of the most challenging things when you're first starting out as a basketball trainer is figuring out your philosophy. Now, I've been back and forth between so many different philosophies. I've learned from countless NBA trainers. I've learned from YouTube and studying film, and I've learned from thousands and thousands of hours of training my own players. Over that time, I've developed my own philosophy. So I'm going to take you guys through 5 different types of basketball training philosophies. And I want you to remember, there's not one size fits all. So even to this day, I have bits and pieces of each one, and depending on the player, I'll use them. So the first one is technical skills training. Technical skills training is our by-the-book explicit teaching. This can be great for teaching dribble time and connecting the basketball with our feet. This can be great for teaching shooting mechanics and proper mechanics. This can be teaching ball handling combos or specific finishing options. Technical skills training is very important, especially for a player who has awkward movements and things might not come as naturally to them. So this is great. It provides a way to fine-tune your game outside of a controlled live setting. But the downside of this type of training is teaching a perfect or right way to do things. So I'll see a lot of older coaches teach you have to step off your inside leg on a layup and that there's a wrong leg. Well, that's not true. We need to go off of our left foot, our right foot, and 2 feet. So a same foot, same hand layup is very important. So with technical skills training, while it's very important, we need to be careful that we're not teaching players that there's a perfect way to do it and that the game is still imperfect. So I've also seen coaches teach, inside outside is the only way you can go into a pull-up jump shot or a catch and shoot, but we also need to be able to hop and do a foot replacement. So I think be sure to emphasize to your players that the game of basketball is imperfect, and while there are more efficient ways to do things, it's important to be adaptable and multidimensional. Now, I do a lot of technical skills training, but one of my favorite methods is number 2, the games-based approach, or the CLA, which is the constraints-led approach. Now, this type of training, it utilizes small-sided games to provide an environment for players to be creative, exploratory, and learn through play. Focuses on game-like scenarios with decision-making and basketball IQ. So essentially, in a nutshell, you're going to put your players in game situations and allow them to focus on the perception and action of the game and the decision-making. So you could put them through a 2v2 or a 3v3 scenario and put constraints on it. So maybe it's a 2v2 ball screen on the right wing, and you say you have to score outside the paint. Or it's a 3v3 zoom action, and you say you have to score inside the paint with a floater, right? It's using the CLA to provide problems for your players and then have them provide and find new solutions. So this is my preferred approach for larger groups, as it allows me to provide a game-like environment with decision-making. And it's also one of the most undervalued and undertrained skills. I think we see so many times with players training by themselves with the technical training, with cones or just with a coach. But when we get to the game, we kind of don't know what to do when there's a defender. So I think the games-based approach is a great way for players to see direct translation from workouts to the game. Now, the third approach is repetition and the muscle memory approach. So think Kobe Bryant being in the gym for 2 hours, repping out a 1 dribble pull-up over and over and over again. This approach is definitely old school, but can be very beneficial depending on how we use it. I'm a believer that thousands and thousands of reps can breed confidence. However, they need to be the right reps. So for example, if we're working on repetition and muscle memory, but we have poor mechanics, we're essentially just wasting our time. We also need to be aware that there's specific times then that we need to use this type of training. So maybe we're in season and our body's hurting after practice and we want to get our vitamin work in for 15 to 20 minutes before or after practice. This is going to be a great way to get our muscle memory and repetition work in. I also view this as kind of like maintenance work, right? So it can be at the beginning of the off season when the player doesn't want a big mental load and they want to just kind of decompress and get a lot of reps and feel good. These are feel good workouts. These are get your 200, 300, 400 makes in. And not every workout needs to be a challenging one where we're messing up and failing. So I think these definitely serve a purpose. Now, the downside to this type of training is at some point it reaches a level of diminishing marginal utility. So meaning at some point for each additional rep or make, you get no added benefits. So say you already made 300 makes. A lot of times getting to 500 makes in that same workout won't actually add any improvement. You'll kind of hit that wall and then maybe you'll get a tiny bit, but it's really not doing anything. So one of my favorite analogies for this is my favorite pizza place, Tacanelli's Pizza. My brother and I used to always go there and we'd compete on who can eat the most slices. My record is 13 slices, which is actually crazy, but by the time I got to slice 6 or 7, I would reach a point of diminishing marginal utility. meaning at slice 8 to 13, I wouldn't actually gain any level of satisfaction from each additional slice. I would just do it to compete with my brother. So I say that all to say, if you make 250 to 300 shots, making 500 might not actually give you any improvement. It might just be for that level of satisfaction of I completed 500 makes, right? So just be careful with that. I'm a big quality over quantity guy, so try to stay away from aiming for a certain amount of makes just to do it, right? Now, the fourth one is system-specific approach. So this is more for our high-level players in college and the professional ranks. So take a 3-and-D guy, for example. This 3-and-D guy, maybe their only role on an NBA team is to make catch-and-shoot threes spots. So just stand still. Maybe they're on the Lakers and they're playing with LeBron and Luka, so they have to make a standstill catch-and-shoot, or they have to make on-the-move lifts, drifts, outs, stuff of that nature. In the offseason, they might do nothing but their system-specific approach. So they might only shoot catch-and-shoot corner threes. They might only shoot lifts and drifts. And they might only run hills and get in shape. Because the reality is, in season, less than 5% of the time, they're going to have the basketball in their hands doing ISO moves and stuff of that nature. So this can definitely be a good style of training. The only downside, I guess, is that you're not going to keep improving and elevate your ceiling to potentially in 2-3 years become that type of player. So a good example of this is Duncan Robinson. I think he did a really good job of continuing to expand his game in the offseason. So now you'll see he does a really good job of attacking closeouts with 1 or 2 dribbles, getting to the rack, getting to his pull-ups, whereas in the beginning of his career, he was probably more in a box, just a standstill catch and shoot and on-the-move shooter. So I think this is ideal for players who want to carve out a specific role in the NBA, but I want to be careful with this approach because I don't want you guys to neglect improving and always adding to your game, right? So before we get into the fifth one, which is the most unique, and I actually see a lot of players use this approach, make sure you guys check out our ball handling program. It's 50% off right now. It's 10 minutes a day for 10 days, and it's going to guarantee you to transform your handle. So I want you guys to try that out. If you get it and it doesn't help you get better, I'll give you your money back. So I want you guys to check that out. The fifth one is called the just hoop approach. A lot of players use this, and I think a lot of more players need to actually adapt to this approach. So basically, this approach encourages experimentation, street ball elements, and creativity and moves. There's no right way to do things. It allows players to find their own style, and it doesn't box them into things. So great example of these players are Kyrie Irving, Mac McClung, Kevin Durant. If you watch these guys work out or talk about how they got better, LaMelo Ball, as kids, they literally just hooped. There was no specific way to do things. They didn't overthink it. And when you watch them play in NBA games, you can literally see that they have that just hoop mentality. And I think there's a beauty to this. The downside to this is that maybe they have some bad habits or they take bad shots, but I think it allows you to create your own way of playing. And there's a beauty in that. And you see some of the best NBA players have this style. And for a lot of these guys, they don't like doing those boring, monotonous drills. And that ties it all together for you guys as a trainer, or even if you're a player watching this, you need to be self-aware and know yourself. There's some NBA players that I train where they want to do the repetition and the muscle memory style, where they need their 60 minutes of workout to be 300 makes of all hard game speed reps where I tell them explicitly what they're doing. You're doing a 1 dribble pull up this way. You're doing a 2 dribble pull up off a closeout. You're doing a lift and drift. And then we have other players, NBA players, who say, I don't want to do any catch and shoot reps. I don't want you to tell me what I'm doing. Let's just play 2-on-2 live in a ball screen setting. So for a trainer, number one, you have to really drop your ego and realize that it's way bigger than you. It's about the player and what gets them better the fastest and what they're comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, everybody's different and what works for that player is going to work for that player. So I think that's really important as a trainer to be able to adapt your style. And yeah, as a player, know what works for you. But I think at the end of the day, finding a blend of all 5 approaches is the most important because there's a time and place for all of it, right? There's a time and place for that technical work. If you have maybe a thumb flick you got to get rid of, you got to work on that mechanical stuff. Or if you have bad dribble timing and you have awkward movements, you got to work on that. If you get in the game and you don't have a great feel, you got to add that games-based approach. If you don't have enough reps or in season, you just want a cooler, lighter day, lighter intensity, you got to get that muscle memory approach. So I think all of these tie hand in hand together, and don't be so closed-minded one way or the other. Make sure you find that balance of both. So balance of all of them. So I hope this helped you guys. I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this and just sharing my experience as a basketball trainer now, 9 years into this thing. If you guys like this style video, make sure you guys subscribe. We're super, super close to 10,000 subscribers. I really appreciate you guys watching. As always, make sure you guys check out our Handle Hustle program. It'll help you guys as trainers provide a structure for your players. And as a player, it'll get you better in just 10 minutes a day for 10 days. So Appreciate you guys as always. Hit that like button. Comment what we should do next. See you guys in the next video. Peace.